She deliberately took off her dress and walked right up to her boyfriend, trying to get his attention on purpose, but to her surprise he wasn't interested at all. He brushed her off with a few half-hearted words and went straight back to reading his book, like he'd completely turned into someone else. They used to be a close couple who worked together, until a manager got fired over financial losses, leaving a high-level position open at the company. Emily happened to hear from a coworker that Luke was the likely pick to fill the role. She was thrilled about it, and couldn't wait to share the news with her boyfriend. They rushed home that night to celebrate. Later that evening, Emily got a call from a coworker asking to meet up, but when she arrived, she found her boss waiting instead. Turns out he'd been impressed by her skills, and decided to give her the manager job. She didn't get home until 2 in the morning, and immediately told Luke everything. At first he was stunned, his emotions roller coastering all over the place, but once he calmed down, he was genuinely happy for her. The next day they left home together like always, parted ways at the bus stop, and headed to work separately, because office relationships weren't allowed. Except now Emily was his direct supervisor, but he didn't let it get him down. Determined to prove himself, he dove into finance books, stayed late almost every night, hoping his boss would finally notice his talent. But reality hit hard, you know how it goes. Luke's self-esteem took a serious blow, and he grew irritable and anxious. To comfort him, Emily offered to put in a good word with the boss, but thanks to his stubborn pride, Luke flat out refused. Still, Emily went ahead and spoke highly of Luke anyway, telling the boss about his talent, loyalty, and potential. But to her shock, the boss barely cared. She was left speechless, and didn't dare tell Luke, afraid he wouldn't be able to handle it. As Emily climbed the corporate ladder, her networking events and late nights piled up. She often didn't get home until the early hours. Luke pretended to be supportive, but deep down he was sinking into despair. Over time, he kept hearing more and more rumors from coworkers about Emily and the boss. He started criticizing her outfits, even accused her of sleeping her way to the top. They fought constantly over it. The next day Emily gave in. To ease his mind, she deliberately changed how she dressed, but her compromise didn't earn his understanding, just icy silence in return. He began pulling away on purpose. Emily couldn't take it anymore. She kept swallowing her pride, trying everything to bring back their old closeness, but Luke stayed cold and unmoved. Then one day, a portfolio manager got fired. Luke saw it as his big chance. Unaware of the tension between them, he asked Emily to recommend him to the boss, but Emily was still hurt by his emotional distance, and deep down she knew the boss would never say yes, so she suggested he apply somewhere else. But Luke took it as her trying to push him out. Without another word, he marched straight to the boss's office, declared his loyalty right then and there, and in front of everyone dropped to his knees, begging for the opportunity. But the boss only cared about results, and had already hired someone else. Luke started questioning his own worth. When Emily got home that night, Jack was already drunk. She tried to reassure him it would all blow over, and that she'd already sent his resume to another firm. All he had to do was show up for the interview, but Luke wouldn't listen. Fed up, Emily snapped, and they had a huge blowout fight at home. Luke accused her of stealing his promotion. Emily insisted she'd earned it through hard work, and bluntly said he'd probably get fired soon anyway, because in the boss's eyes he was the weakest link. Those words cut straight through whatever was left of Luke's confidence. The next day Luke didn't go to work. Emily covered for him with an excuse, but he didn't show up for 3 days straight, and wouldn't answer his phone. Until finally, during an important business meeting, Luke burst right in. First he attacked the boss's judgment, claiming he'd been blinded by Emily's looks or tricks. Then he publicly exposed their relationship. In that moment Emily lost all hope in him. Luke was fired on the spot, but Emily kept her job, because in the world of business, useful people always get special treatment. In the end they broke up amicably, but Luke was already completely lost. He started fantasizing about launching a successful startup someday, using imaginary victories to cover up his pain. Meanwhile, Emily threw herself fully into her career, and soon made her first real fortune. When she saw a new young woman join the company, she couldn't help but think back to who she used to be.